You're doing 60 miles an hour down a dark, rain-slicked highway. This is what risk analysts call a hazard. It's an everyday, necessary activity that holds a dormant potential for harm. And then, in a fraction of a second, the tires lift off the asphalt. The car hydroplanes. You haven't hit anything yet. There's zero damage. But in this precise moment, you have completely lost control. In risk management, this exact split second is known as the top event. While losing control of a car is terrifying, losing control of a chemical plant or a commercial aviation system costs millions of dollars and human lives. Yet, to manage these massive industrial hazards, most organizations trap their risk data inside static spreadsheets. They rely on dense rows and columns of text that operators on the ground cannot easily visualize or reference in the heat of the moment. To actively prevent disasters, companies need a framework that translates hidden risks into a single, readable map, tracing a crisis from its origin all the way to its impact. Let's map out that driving scenario using a visual tool designed for this exact purpose. As this diagram shows, we start by placing the hazard, driving, and the top event, loss of control, right in the center of the screen. Now we look at what causes that loss of control. We draw lines branching out to the left to represent threats. These are the specific root causes that trigger the crisis, like a wet road or an intoxicated driver. To stop these threats, we build preventive barriers. These are the defense mechanisms that drop down directly in the path between the root cause and the top event. If the threat is a drunk driver, a breathalyzer ignition interlock acts as a barrier to stop the car from even starting. If the threat is driver fatigue, a lane departure warning system jolts them awake before they veer off the road. But no single defense mechanism is perfect. A sensor can fail, or a driver might ignore a warning. A relentless threat can still slip through the cracks and trigger that loss of control. Mapping these threats and layering defenses gives an organization a clear picture of proactive risk management. It shows exactly what is required to stop the crisis before it ever begins. So, what happens when that top event inevitably breaches our defenses? The focus of the diagram shifts to the right side, where the crisis is already in motion. These branching paths terminate in consequences, the severe, unwanted outcomes of losing control, like hitting a pedestrian or crashing into a barricade. To deal with this, we install mitigative barriers, or recovery barriers. These stand firmly between the loss of control and the final impact. Seatbelts and airbags are mitigative barriers. They don't prevent the car from crashing, but they actively absorb the kinetic energy to minimize the physical damage to your body. This is where real-world systems get complicated by what analysts call escalation factors. These are conditions that actively degrade a barrier. For example, a seatbelt is useless if a driver simply refuses to wear it. The barrier cracks. To fix this, you implement an escalation factor barrier, like an annoying seatbelt alarm that chimes until you buckle up, forcing human compliance and restoring the system's strength. When you map out the root causes, the central event, the consequences, and every layered defense, the diagram naturally forms a recognizable bow tie shape. It takes chaotic, interconnected variables and structures them into one clear visual model. This exact same architecture scales up to the most complex systems on Earth, whether it's an offshore oil rig or a global financial network. This diagram illustrates a large-scale corporate hazard, bulk chemical storage. Investigators can look at a severe incident on the right side of the map and trace a catastrophic failure backward to find the exact cracked barrier on the left that started the chain reaction. This visual tracing makes the bow tie a highly effective root cause analysis tool. Unlike a spreadsheet buried in a database, a barrier-based visual map makes responsibilities instantly clear. The maintenance crew knows exactly which alarm systems they need to test, and the boardroom sees exactly where their capital is exposed. Effective risk management doesn't require predicting the future with absolute certainty. It requires building, inspecting, and maintaining the right barriers right now. The bow tie method replaces blind anxiety with an active, eyes-wide-open approach to operations. It ensures that when the inevitable slip happens, the defenses hold strong.